you thought you knew about Wendy Williams might have been a carefully controlled illusion, and the man standing closest to her the entire time, Kevin Hunter, may have been pulling strings far darker than anyone imagined.
How long was this going on, and was there a conflict that you saw? Because I think your perspective is so important, a conflict between the people who are running the show and the family in terms of what's best for Wendy?
I don't think no one knew exactly to the extent how bad it was. I felt like people knew something was up with her, but they didn't really know. I knew it because I've been around it, you know? It's sad to see something like that happen to her. You know, she needs help.
It starts like a whisper, then grows into something louder, heavier, harder to ignore. Because suddenly, someone from Wendy's past, someone who stayed silent for decades, is stepping forward. And not with sympathy, but with accusations. Bert Giraori, her first husband, isn't just reminiscing, he's exposing. And what he's hinting at, it doesn't just shake the narrative, it shatters it. Because according to him, the chaos we're witnessing now didn't just happen overnight. It was planted, slowly, strategically, and allegedly deliberately. Think about it. For years, Wendy Williams stood as this bold, unapologetic voice, calling out everyone else's secrets. But behind that microphone, behind the sharp wit and fearless energy, something was unraveling. And the signs, they were there, subtle at first. A moment here, a strange reaction there. Then suddenly, it wasn't subtle anymore. It was public, it was uncomfortable, and it was impossible to ignore. Yet every time questions started rising, there was always an explanation. Graves' disease, diet changes, stress, always something to calm the storm, but never enough to fully silence it. Because deep down, people were noticing patterns. The kind of patterns that don't just come from physical illness. The kind that suggest something deeper, something controlled, something hidden in plain sight.
My thyroid, my hyperthyroid, is attached also to Graves' disease. Graves' disease squeezes the muscles behind your eyeballs. And so that's the reason for...
Williams said it was her viewers who convinced her to get checked out.
That is the eye thing that you all have been seeing. You caught it before I did.
And then, March 2019, the moment that flipped everything. Wendy didn't just hint anymore, she confirmed it. Addiction. Not in the past, not something conquered long ago, but something present, active, real. She was living in a sober house, following strict routines, fighting something that clearly had more power over her than anyone had been told. And suddenly, all those past rumors didn't look like rumors anymore. They looked like warnings that were ignored. But here's where things take a darker turn. Because Bert isn't just saying Wendy struggled. He's suggesting that someone around her may have been making that struggle worse. Not accidentally, not unknowingly, but intentionally.
For some time now, and even today and beyond, I have been living in a sober house. I am driven by my 24-hour sober coach back to a home, lights out by 10 p.m. So I go to my room and I stare at the ceiling and I fall asleep to wake up to come back here to see you. So that is my truth.
Because this wasn't new. Even back in 2003, Wendy admitted to past substance use, insisting she had overcome it. But if that was true, then how did it return? And more importantly, who was there when it did? Because addiction doesn't just reappear out of nowhere. It finds opportunity. It finds access. It finds influence. And according to Bert, that influence had a name, Kevin Hunter.
For me personally, this is not putting words in anybody who might be a substance abuser's mind. But, you know, I was raised better than that. And I never been arrested and wrecked my stellar radio career. And I never embarrassed my parents who were still married.
So it never really took off. It just threatened you.
It just threatened me. I never was broke off. You know, I was always able to pay all of my bills and I lived a good life.
So here's it. You never hit a bottom.
Right.
And you saw it coming, and you were able to, whatever it is, God stepped in, your own resources, whatever it was, you were able to.
I wanted better for myself. Do you know?
Now suddenly the timeline starts to feel less like coincidence and more like a pattern. Bert describes a Wendy from the early 90s, ambitious, driven, focused, a woman building herself from the ground up, someone in control. But then something shifted, subtle personality changes, moments that didn't quite make sense, a feeling, as he described it, like she wasn't always the same person. And then came Kevin, not just a husband, a manager, a gatekeeper, a decision maker. The man who didn't just enter her life, he surrounded it. Controlled access, controlled business, controlled people. And if Bert's claims are even partially true, possibly controlled much more than that. Because the accusation isn't just influence, it's manipulation. The idea that substances were reintroduced. That relapse wasn't just unfortunate, but potentially engineered. And here's the chilling part. Controlled enough to keep her functional, sharp when needed, profitable when necessary, but never fully free. And suddenly, everything starts connecting. The loyalty Wendy showed, the way she defended him, even when rumors of cheating surfaced, even when financial betrayal came into the light. Why stay? Why protect someone who was allegedly causing damage? Unless leaving wasn't as simple as it looked. Because power doesn't always show itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in dependence, in isolation, in quiet control that no one outside can fully see. And those around her, they noticed. But no one spoke. Why? Because jobs were on the line, careers, livelihoods, and silence became survival. And then there was DJ Booth, a sudden exit, no explanation. Until later when the truth started leaking out in pieces, comments, hints, a warning that what was happening behind the scenes was worse than anyone realized, that people were watching and choosing not to act. And when you look at Wendy now, her health struggles, the guardianship, the uncertainty around her future, it doesn't feel like a random downfall anymore. It feels like a story that's been building for years, quietly, carefully, piece by piece. But here's the real question. If all of this was happening in front of so many people, why did it take this long for someone to finally say it out loud? Or maybe this is just the beginning of what's about to come out. Because what if everything we're seeing now isn't the collapse, but the exposure? What if the real story isn't that Wendy Williams fell apart, but that she was slowly pushed there while the world kept watching, clapping, and tuning in like nothing was wrong? The deeper you go into this, the more unsettling it becomes. Because once Kevin Hunter entered Wendy's life, it wasn't just a relationship. It became a system, a tightly controlled environment where access to Wendy meant going through him. Business deals? Through him. Creative direction? Through him. Even personal interactions? Filtered, monitored, restricted. And on the surface, it looked like loyalty, like partnership, like a man protecting his wife's empire. But underneath, was it protection? Or was it control disguised as devotion? Because think about it, why would so many opportunities reportedly disappear the moment Kevin became involved? Why did people hesitate to work with Wendy even at the height of her success? It wasn't her talent, it wasn't her brand, it was him, his reputation, his presence, his grip. And instead of elevating her career, it began quietly limiting it, isolating it, boxing it into a space where he remained the central authority. And Wendy, she stayed, she trusted, she leaned in, maybe because she believed he was holding everything together, or maybe because by then, stepping away wasn't as easy as it seemed. Because if Bert's claims are even partially accurate, then Kevin wasn't just managing Wendy's career, he may have been managing her vulnerabilities, feeding into them, regulating them, using them, a cycle where she was kept just stable enough to perform, but never stable enough to fully break free. And that kind of control, it doesn't leave visible marks. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It manipulates quietly until the person at the center doesn't even realize how trapped they've become. And then there's the betrayal layer. Because it didn't stop at control. It allegedly crossed into infidelity, into financial misconduct, into humiliation that played out both privately and publicly. And yet, Wendy stayed. Even when the cheating rumors turned into confirmed headlines. Even when the emotional damage was undeniable. She stayed longer than anyone expected. Longer than anyone could understand. Why? Because when someone has been conditioned to depend, emotionally, mentally, even physically, it changes the way they see escape. It doesn't look like freedom. It looks like risk. It looks like loss. It looks like falling into something even more uncertain. And for For Wendy, whose life was already under constant scrutiny, the idea of losing control might have been more terrifying than staying in something that was slowly breaking her. And then the cracks became impossible to hide. On-air moments that felt off, reactions that didn't align, pauses that felt too long, expressions that didn't match the words. At first, viewers brushed it off, then they questioned it. And eventually, they couldn't ignore it, because the woman who once controlled every room she walked into suddenly looked like she was fighting to control herself. And still, silence, not just from Kevin, but from the entire system around her, a team that allegedly saw what was happening and chose to stay quiet, because speaking up meant losing everything. And so the show continued. The cameras kept rolling. The audience kept watching, while behind the scenes, something was unraveling faster than anyone wanted to admit. And when the truth finally started slipping out, it didn't come as one big revelation. It came in fragments. A comment here, a confession there, a former insider hinting that things were worse than they seemed, that what the public saw was only a fraction of the reality. And suddenly, all those years of whispers didn't sound so exaggerated anymore. They sounded accurate. And then came the guardianship, the final twist that changed everything. Because now, Wendy isn't just dealing with health struggles, she's dealing with control on an entirely different level. Legal control, financial control, personal control. A situation so complex that even fans don't fully understand who is making decisions for her anymore, or why. And that's where things become deeply uncomfortable. Because if Wendy spent years under one form of control, only to end up under another, then where exactly is her freedom in all of this? When does she get to speak, to decide, to reclaim what was once hers? And the most haunting part? Even through everything, there are moments where Wendy still remembers, still references Kevin, still holds on to the betrayal. Almost like out of all the confusion, all the health battles, all the noise, that pain remained crystal clear, like it cut deeper than anything else. Like it was the one truth that couldn't be erased, no matter what else faded. And the internet, it's not holding back. People are pointing fingers, calling Kevin the central figure in her downfall, saying he didn't just fail her, he used her, took advantage of her, benefited from her while she was struggling. And whether every detail is proven or not, the pattern is what's making people uneasy. Because too many things align, too many moments connect, too many voices are now saying similar things. And yet, there are still gaps, still unanswered questions, still pieces missing from the full picture. Because if this story is as deep as it's starting to look, then what else hasn't been revealed yet? What else did people see and choose not to say? What else is still buried, waiting for the right moment or the right person to bring it into the light? Because this doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like something that's just beginning to unravel. And if the silence around Wendy Williams taught us anything, it's that the loudest truths are often the ones no one dares to say out loud until it's already too late.